Have you ever seen a video that made your mind bend? Like, you're staring at it, convinced the lines are moving. But they're not. Those viral illusions are not just some quirky internet trick. They were rooted in real science. Welcome to the weird, wonderful world of Quirkology. Today, we're diving deep into the most mind-blowing illusions and uncovering how they hack your brain using psychology, neuroscience, and physics. Ready to see the invisible and believe the impossible? Let's start with the basics. Quirkology is a field of research that mixes psychology with quirky experiments to reveal how our minds really work. British psychologist Richard Wiseman actually coined the term. His illusions went viral not just because they re-fun, but because they expose how easily our brains get tricked. Take the lilac chaser illusion, for instance. You stare at a series of lilac dots rotating in a circle. One by one, the dots vanish. Then suddenly you see a green dot that doesn't actually exist. That's not magic. That's your brain's response to overstimulation, specifically a phenomenon called afterimage and motion-induced blindness. This illusion isn't moving, not even a pixel, but your brain insists it is. Why? Because your visual system is processing contrast and motion in a way that generates movement, where there is none. This is the case with the rotating snakes illusion, developed by Japanese psychologist Akiyoshi Kitaoka. Those snakes appear to move, but it's purely a trick of the eyes, or rather of the brain. Here's the crazy part. Optical illusions like these aren't just fooling your eyes, they're fooling your brain's interpretation of reality. When you look at an illusion, your brain tries to guess what's happening based on lighting, perspective, and past experiences. Take the hollow face illusion. It's a mask of a concave face, essentially a face turned inward. But no matter how you look at it, your brain flips it and makes it appear convex. It's hardwired to see faces bulging outward because that's how we encounter them in real life. The result? A completely flipped version of reality. Yeah, your brain edits reality. Constantly. Let's get geeky for a second. Illusions are all about how your brain handles visual processing, depth cues, and pattern recognition. For example, take the checker shadow illusion by Edward Adelson. There are two squares, one in shadow and one in light. They look like different shades of gray, but they're the same. Your brain sees the shadow and compensates, applying brightness correction. That's called color constancy. Your brain trying to correct what it thinks it is, seeing based on environmental context. Illusions like these reveal the shortcuts your mind uses. Most of the time, they help you survive. They help you react quickly to a tiger in the bushes, or spot your friend in a crowd. But every once in a while, those shortcuts lead you straight into a trap. In Quirkology, illusions aren't just for fun. They're used to study cognition, attention, and human behavior. In one experiment, people were shown a video where two teams pass a basketball. Viewers were asked to count the passes. Here's the twist. Most people don't even notice a person in a gorilla suit walking through the scene. That's called inattentional blindness. When you're so focused on one thing, you miss everything else. And it happens in everyday life more than you think. Ever been looking for your phone while holding it in your hand? That's inattentional blindness. Your brain filtered it out because it wasn't the focus of your search. Or think about the Stroop effect. You see the word red, but it's printed in blue ink. Your brain struggles because it is trying to process two conflicting pieces of information, the word S meaning and the color it's printed in. That delay, that confusion, that's your brain glitching out, trying to resolve cognitive dissonance. Okay, so here's the challenge. Think you can see through any illusion? Think again. We'll show you 3 illusions. Try to guess how they work. Illusion 1. Cafe wall. Lines that appear slanted but are straight. The effect comes from the alternating dark and light bricks combined with the staggered rows. Illusion 2. Spinning dancer. Which direction is she turning? Clockwise or counterclockwise? It's ambiguous. Your brain chooses a direction and sticks with it, unless you can consciously switch your perception. Illusion 3. Color gradient grid. Is it changing colors? Nope. But your brain interprets the changing brightness and relative position of colors as motion or transformation. If you got all 3 right, Congratulations, your perception is suspiciously powerful. Or, you've watched way too many illusion videos. Here's the deeper takeaway. Illusions show us that reality isn't as objective as we think. What we see and believe is shaped by our brains, which filter, predict, and sometimes just make stuff up. In fact, scientists have found that our brains are essentially prediction machines. We don't just passively receive sensory information. We predict what we expect to see, and then correct that prediction as new information comes in. This is known as predictive processing, and it explains why illusions work. They exploit your brain's predictions, showing you what your brain expects to see, rather than what's actually there. That also explains why people sometimes see faces in clouds, or hear voices in random noise, a phenomenon called pareidolia. Your brain is wired to detect patterns, especially human ones. Better safe than sorry, evolutionarily speaking. In one famous experiment, researchers showed participants an image with random static noise and told them that a face was hidden inside. Many of them saw it, even though there was no face at all. Their brains filled in the blanks, creating meaning out of chaos. Quirkology isn't just about optical illusions. It also dives into quirky experiments that expose biases and behavioral quirks. Like why most people will unconsciously choose the right-hand option more often when given a choice between identical items. Or why we're more likely to believe a confident speaker over a correct one. Or why we remember the first and last items in a list, but forget the middle. All these cognitive biases, confirmation bias, anchoring, the Dunning-Kruger effect, are like mental illusions. They shape our decisions and beliefs without us realizing it. Quirkology taps into these behaviors, turning them into experiments that are both hilarious and revealing. For example, Wiseman once set up a fake fortune teller booth. People gave vague personality info, and the booth spat out a printed analysis. Everyone said it was shockingly accurate. The twist? They all got the exact same description. It's called the Barnum effect, our tendency to accept vague, general statements as uniquely personal. Think horoscopes, personality quizzes, and even some types of therapy. Here's another gem. Did you know that you can hallucinate without drugs, just by staring at your own reflection in dim light? It's true. It's called the Troxler effect. Focus on one point, and your brain begins to fade out the peripheral details. The result? Faces warp, shapes melt. It's your brain editing out what it thinks is unimportant. So next time you think you saw a ghost in the mirror, maybe it was just your brain glitching out. The more we understand illusions, the more we understand reality, and how subjective it really is. Your version of the world isn't necessarily the world as it is. It's the world as your brain thinks it is. Here is something to really bend your mind. Your senses process only a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, sound frequencies, and other stimuli around you. There's so much more happening, but we're not built to perceive it. So what else might be out there, hiding in plain sight, just beyond our perception? Quirkology reminds us that the universe is weirder than we think, that the mind is a magician, but also the most easily fooled audience. So the next time you see something unbelievable, pause. Ask yourself, is it real, or is my brain filling in the gaps? Because sometimes the real illusion is your perception of reality itself. Want more weird science and brain hacks? Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and drop your favorite illusion in the comments.